What is your Tinder horror story? It ended up being a double date with his mom and her OkCupid date. He told me that he and his mom were a package deal. I was mortified and there was no second date. Talked to him for 2 weeks before we went out and no red flags, so we ended up going out to dinner. I said I hadn't been out in a while because I was trying to save money for a washer and dryer. He told me instead of saving for that I should save for a boob job. I didn't even know how to reply, so he followed up with, "No, it's not a bad thing. My sister and mom both had small tits and got boob jobs and they look amazing." This is all before the waitress even brought out drinks. I just got up and left. First date. She wanted me to get into a bar fight with the perfectly friendly guy who'd bought us a round of shots that night. Why? Because she found out he was a Scorpio. Not my story, but I knew a guy who had a Freudian slip, more dark side Kermit, bad enough that it ruined everything. I was told this by him after he got home, and suffice to say he was like, "Why the fuck did I say that?" Date had been going well, and they were walking back to a bus station. They passed a creepy alley, and she said something to the effect of, "Wow, I would not like to go down that alley." To which he responded, "I imagine you are very rapeable." Suffice to say, she ran for the hills and he was mortified. He very much was not a creepy person and had no clue why the hell he said that. Nor has he, to the extent of my knowledge, raped anyone. But Christ almighty, do I agree with the girl's decision to run. This girl I matched with just messaged to troll me. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" and she was like, "Don't talk to me unless you plan on fucking me with your 9-inch dick." I forgot what my reply was, but she obviously never messaged back. Then a week later I'm getting McDonald's and this girl was the one who handed me my food. She recognizes me instantly and just had this total look of fear in her eyes. I walked out of there so quick. That poor girl thought I purposely sought her out to confront her or something. First date. We went to see a movie. She brought her sister along, without consulting me first, and I somehow ended up paying for both of their tickets. Bit of a doormat. Old me. We went to see Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Turns out, neither of them had seen a Star Wars film before, nor had any idea at all what was going on. Awesome. Date ended at McDonald's after the movie with 1 hour plus of her eating fries one at a time, and her sister talking shit about basically everyone at her work. To this day I'm not sure what that date was even about. There was no second date. Fresh off a breakup on campus. Match with this really good looking girl who is talking pure filth. Obviously I'm just an idiot with a hurt heart, so I don't question much. Head over to her place a few days later. She insisted I come over on a certain day at XX o'clock. Usually I would have been sketched out, but it was the middle of the day on a B1G10 campus. What exactly could go that south? Half hour and her husband came home. I was being used in revenge plot. No more Tinder. Edit. Dang, did not expect this much interest. Apologies for not checking back, haha. Anyway, I pretty much just froze and he started screaming at her in a language I did not speak, and she got off bed and did the same. It was at an apartment slightly off campus where a lot students live, so I guess I just assumed she had a roommate that wasn't home. Never assume. I just basically embraced the chaos, grabbed my shit as fast as I could and hightailed it out of there. I can only assume it was intentional based on the specific meetup, but maybe it was poor luck. Either way, just talk to the cute girl at the coffee shop. It's much better than apps. Not me, but I worked as a bartender for a while and heard a lot of horror stories secondhand. This one girl who was a regular came in and told me about an awful Tinder date she had. Not sure of the specifics, but it wasn't bad enough for her to not bring him home afterward. He leaves the next morning. She brushes it off as a one-night stand, and a few days later, her debit card gets declined. Odd, since she is a bartender herself at a fairly busy place in our city and is good about saving and usually flush with cash. She goes to check her debit card. Turns out there were a bunch of charges at Best Buy, Grubhub, a bunch of other stuff. Curious. She checks her credit card too. There she found a bunch of charges for streaming services. Netflix, Hulu, Sling, everything. She goes to confront the guy and finds out he deleted his profile, but she remembers a friend they had in common on Facebook. She reaches out to the mutual friend to try and track him down, and it turns out he did the exact same thing to that mutual friend. Not sure if what the outcome was, but she was out for blood after a mediocre hookup turned into a serious case of identity theft. Sexted with this really hot girl after matching for about a day, and she starts getting all kinky with me. She then tells me she's actually a guy trolling me. I said joke's on you cuz I am B. He unmatched. I went on a Tinder date a couple months ago on a Sunday afternoon. Met up with the guy around 3. He had a really good energy and was funny and complimentary. The place we wanted to go had a long line, so we went to another restaurant on the water for a drink and appetizers. He started slamming down Mai Tais. I had 1. He had 3. They were strong. Like, I was tipsy borderline drunk off of 1. The bar had a 2 Mai Tai per person limit, but he found another bartender to get his 3rd. He got drunker and started telling me he loved me. Joking at first but getting increasingly serious. As we left he asked me to marry him. I kind of laughed it off and was like maybe we take it slow. We just met each other. He got so mad he stormed off and left me on a street corner. Then as soon as he got home, it was 5 PM, he started texting me come over and I miss you. He was 43. WTF. I messaged a girl who wanted to meet up. So I go out to the coffee shop and she's not there. I ask her what's up and she totally admits to being a dude catfishing me just so he could check me out in public. And goes on a rant about what a shame it is that I'm a lesbian because he'd totally fuck me. I feel like the creepiest part for me was that he never once tried to get nudes or anything, which I'd at least understand the effort for. He just wanted to stare at me in public. Not me, my dad, not Tinder either. It was Match.com. My dad had been on Match for about 3 months with some success. He is a tall Australian man who's decent looking, so he had some interest. One weekend he got sent his first nude which he thought had strange, but brushed it off. Later that week he got 6 more nudes from the same woman. Before he blocked her, he decided that he would open them just for kicks. 5 of the pictures are just straight up vag shots, which he said were incredibly unappealing and had terrible lighting. The 6th picture however was something different. The woman was standing in her bra in front of a mirror, puss out, winking, with a bunch of herbs shoved in her bra. Basil, parsley, thyme, all that good stuff. The caption on the picture was spice rack. She was swiftly blocked after my dad stopped laughing long enough to find the block button. Went on a date after talking to this guy for a few weeks and I told him I was thinking of getting my nose pierced but was afraid it would hurt. We are walking through a park in broad daylight and this dude takes a safety pin out of his pocket and fucking jams it through his nostril. Blood pours down his face. He laughs and says, "See? No big deal, dude. WTF." So I met this girl on Tinder and went for a lunch date. We had a pretty good connection so we decided to have dinner as well. After having a few drinks one thing led to another and ended up back at my place. We hooked up and went to sleep. Middle of the night I wake up. She's intensely staring at me while she's crouched behind the bed. I asked her if everything is alright. She said yes and got back into bed. I thought little creepy, but probably nothing to worry about. She lays down to cuddle with me and she's wet. At the time, I was like damn I must just be a stallion. Fast forward to the morning. She's gone and there's a wet puddle beside the bed. She peed on my floor. I still don't understand it. I had a bathroom, but maybe she just got lost and couldn't hold it. I did not hear from her again. Edit. Just want to be clear, we were both tipsy and not sloppy drunk. Chatted with this girl for about 2 weeks. Every conversation went well and eventually I got her number and she started sharing nudes and speaking dirty. Late on evening after a stressful work day she talks me into driving an hour to come get coffee with her. She spends the next hour and a half non-stop talking about her ex and how she has to see him at the bank and all this personal upset ex-girlfriend stuff. She cuts me off anytime I try to speak or change the subject right back to him. A day later I get a text about how I didn't do any talking and I was too boring to be anything more than just friends with. She got irate when I pointed out she would not allow me to speak and only wanted to talk about her ex-boyfriend when we have never once had a slow or boring conversation before meeting up.